Welcome to the Life Self-Mastery Podcast, where we bring in entrepreneurs who have created online businesses and improved their lifestyles. Here's your host, Rohit Malhotra.
Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Life Self-Mastery, and today I'm excited to have Stephen David Leonard, who's a retired pastor turned president and CEO of Leonard Designs, and Stephen David Leonard. Under his leadership as CEO, Leonard Designs quickly grew from his wife's hobby business at the kitchen table to multi-million company, employing 150 people and operating globally. He has since expanded the business, including founding the rapid-growing Stephen David Leonard brand, launched in 2017, which grew over 300% in 2018. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you, Rohit. Glad to be here today.
Awesome. So, you were a pastor earlier, and then you ventured into the crazy world of entrepreneurship. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so for a few years as a pastor, I was kind of during my time off, I was helping my wife with kind of the business side of running what was kind of a hobby business for her at the time. And as things were growing and as we were kind of finding new ways forward, I decided, we're kind of looking at the business. We're experiencing some growth, and we realized we needed to either hire somebody full-time to do what I was doing, or I needed to jump in full-time and do it myself. And one of the things that I noticed about business was I was getting an opportunity to meet with a lot of people, and there's a lot of kind of networking opportunities, and I was really enjoying what I was doing in that role. And in some ways I was interacting with people in some of the same ways that I hoped to interact with people as a pastor. But as a pastor, you tend to kind of just meet with people in your church. And so it seemed like a really kind of intriguing way forward, and a way to think about how to live out our spirituality as business owners, and kind of all the relationships that we were building. And so decided to take the plunge and do it full time. And lead the company, and it's been great. It's given us just a lot of opportunity to build special relationships, and to think about how to do good with business.
Got it. And so you were side hustling with your job. How long did it take for you to really make a decision to go full flow and focus on your main business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we're kind of in the, I think we're kind of thinking about it for 6 months, maybe 8 months. We were debating about, which would be the best way forward for us. And, again, we saw kind of rapid growth happening. So we knew that we had to make a decision somewhat fast. So yeah, it was just kind of a matter of months, and I took the plunge.
Okay, and were the revenues more than the kind of salary you were getting? I'm just wondering, what made the real decision? Because a lot of time founders are doing side hustles, but they're afraid, they don't want to leave the comfortable job. So what made you leave that job?
Yeah. Like I say, I think in some ways, one of the issues was I was talking to people in our congregation a lot about kind of how to live their faith and live their spirituality out where they worked and where they lived. Sometimes people, when you're a pastor, sometimes people kind of think that their faith is for, at church and not for the rest of the week. And I've always believed in living a more holistic life than that. But I had a hard time drawing on examples and giving them kind of good illustrations of it, because my professional life had been in that realm. And so I thought, well, this will be a good opportunity to be able to live out what I'm saying and to kind of experiment with it myself. And simultaneously, like you say, the business was reaching a point revenue-wise that we could afford to make the leap. Obviously, we had to sit down and make sure we could pay our bills, and if we were going to put all of our eggs in one basket, we need to make sure that financially it would work out. And so we were experiencing experiencing the revenue positively on that side. And also we saw opportunity to continue to grow the business.
Okay, and what was Leonard Designs all about? Were you focusing only on jewelry, and how did you come upon deciding to focus on this business alone?
Yeah. It started. Our oldest son has severe special needs, and the business started. Lisa started kind of making jewelry as a hobby. She was a special needs teacher, and then our son was born with severe special needs, and so she just needed something different. And she decided to go and start to kind of make this jewelry as a hobby. And over time, started selling it to friends and friends of friends. And at some point, we thought, well, where we live, it's kind of a small area, so we decided, well, if we're going to get outside of this area and selling to people here, we're going to have to do something different. And we got online and started with Lisa's blog and kind of that early stages of social media. Eventually realized that we needed a website because she was doing everything. She was sending every email personally. She was processing every payment personally. So I told her, hey, we could build a website and we could process a lot of this stuff automatically. And so as we did that, every time we kind of took a step forward like that, it helped the business grow. But it was kind of a combination of kind of the core two things were kind of sharing our family story through social media, through blog at the time, and then the jewelry that she was making. So those are probably the two big kind of areas of focus that have always been a part of what we do.
Okay, and when you're unknown brand in the jewelry space, not many people are able to connect. But I believe sharing your life story would have helped you gain that sort of an audience. But what advice would you give to people who have their own brands, or who are trying to build their own jewelry or a side hustle or a hobby brand into making a much larger life-changing business?
Yeah, it's kind of a fun story. I mean, when we started, we didn't necessarily expect it to get to where it's gotten at this stage. And we kind of laugh because we don't, neither one of us has a business background. We both kind of found ourselves here, and with kind of complementary strengths and things, we've kind of felt our way forward with it. And, like you say, it doesn't, when you have a hobby business or a side hustle, it doesn't often turn into something that's more established, and it is hard. And I think one thing that was really helpful for us was kind of being in the right place at the right time as social media grew up, as things like blogs were taking off. There were some lucky accidents there that, right as blogs were becoming a big thing, we had something sharing a story, and people connected with our family story. And, and then we kept having to kind of retool and think, okay, so from a business standpoint, what do we have to do to support this and to make sure that we're continuing to reach people, make sure that we're able to actually fulfill orders. And I can tell you, it's a bumpy road. It wasn't always easy. So, there were times that we definitely, experienced growing pains of having, more orders than we were, set up to fulfill. And I remember early on when we're making things at the kitchen table and, getting emails that like, you're the worst company ever, and we're like, well, I mean, we may be the worst company ever. Like, we're trying. Nobody ever said we know what we're doing, but that's kind of the great thing about the internet is it gives anybody access. You don't have to, you can be out there competing with big companies, even if you're kind of nobody. At the same time, you're out there competing with big companies, and people's expectations, go with that. They expect you to deliver just like the big companies. So, there's a lot of considerations there.
Absolutely. So, have you built your website on a marketplace like Shopify or BigCommerce, or have you hired a tech team to to build your website?
Yeah, it's funny. We kind of grew up about the same time as Etsy. A lot of people ask, because our stuff is handmade, people ask, if we've ever had an Etsy shop. And it just so happens that for reasons of timing, we never went down that road. We started with our own website from day one, first with the blog, and then actually creating a website with lisaleonard.com. And, if it had been a year later, we may well have done an Etsy shop, but we just didn't at the time. And I think for us, it's actually been good because we've always been able to have our own unique presence in the marketplace. We've had, various kind of back-end systems platforms that we've used over the years. We've used Able Commerce, Magento, a couple that I can't even remember what the names of them are. We've switched platforms a few times over the years, but but fortunately we just kind of stumbled into doing it on our own from day one, and I think that's been a really good thing for us.
Interesting. And have you used a marketplace like Amazon to sell your products?
Yeah, no, we haven't. And our product is customized. Probably the big thing, one of the big things for us is doing the personalized jewelry, and so it's difficult to that's a challenge for like an Amazon to know how to to kind of sync everything up so that we would be able to to sell the product on Amazon properly. But again, I've been pretty happy. We've been fortunate because even though we haven't ever gone that route, it still allowed us to grow something kind of unique on the side and outside of something like Amazon.
Got it. And you build a huge brand where where you have a team of 150 people, but you've had your own struggles and obstacles both in business and personal life with your parents, to son with special needs. So if there's a husband and wife team who works on a business, what are the few things which they need to keep in mind before they work on a stressful situation where you're supposed to manage money and run a business together?
Yeah, you're right. It's challenging. It's funny. It's a wonderful thing to be able to run a business together, husband and wife. It's very challenging as well, because the problems of home end up showing up when you're in meetings with employees. Problems at work end up showing up when you're doing the dishes at home, and so you have to manage. It's a lot of stress, and kind of everything kind of commingles. And so we've gone through a lot of learning how to communicate, learning how to keep kind of business at work and home at home. And we actually went through a really challenging time in our marriage a couple of years ago. Lisa just wrote a book actually called Brave Love, where she talks about the birth of our boys, the birth of our business, and the rebirth of our marriage. And so she shared some of those struggles in the book about just really having to take time out and kind of redefine our relationships and identify ways where we're not showing up and kind of having to retool our marriage and be more protective of it. And so, it's very much a challenge, and you have to communicate really, really well, I think, to make it work.
Okay. And, you have 150 people. So, there are a lot of problems which come in the creative workplace cultures, so what are your suggestions on how to resolve and prevent some conflicts and problems when you work in such a large workplace?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think one, it's very important to have clear expectations, clear systems in place. We're actually, because we purchased a company a couple of years ago, and that was, how we grew kind of the personnel side so quickly. We're having to redefine some things culturally because we're sort of merging an existing business into our business. So we've actually just recently been going through and redoing things like our employee manual and kind of redefining, the way we say some of the things internally for our business so that we're all kind of using the same language about our vision and our goals. So that's one thing. I think just having those kind of overall business, those kind of overall business statements, those kind of business tools in hand. And then another thing is we spend a lot of time with our management and executive team actually talking about conflict and talking about how we communicate, because communication is the number one challenge every business, every organization faces. And, Lisa and I have learned personally, and we've seen very much in the workplace, that it's communication and relationships that are kind of the make it or break it for an organization. So we read books together as a management team. We discuss them. We work on putting some practices into place out of those out of the books that we read, and we try to make it just a very open conversation that we need to bring things to the table. We need to discuss, and we need to be able to resolve conflict and be very open about it. So I would say those are probably the big things: is having the right systems in place, having sort of making sure that you're on the same kind of cultural page, and then really just talking very openly about communication and conflict.
Correct. And so, I happened to look at your other website, which is Stephen David Leonard. So, what made you start the new business, and who are you targeting, and are you selling the same sort of products which you're selling on Lisa Leonard?
Yeah. Thanks for asking about that. Yeah. So, a few years ago, we've actually heard for a long time from our Lisa Leonard customers, that they would love to see something for men. And we've kind of experimented here and there with men's product on LisaLeonard.com, but we found that it was just not the right platform for that product. So we decided to launch something for men. And kind of one of the gaps that I really saw in the marketplace, being so familiar with with sort of the female marketplace, is there's just not really a lot of meaningful, personalized product out there for men. So if you want to get your husband, your boyfriend, your brother, whatever, you want to get something special, for a man in your life, it's really difficult to find. I think a lot of times there's kind of an assumption that men are going to want another piece of technology, or they're going to want another gadget or something. And talking with people, listening to our customers, we saw that there was a need out there for something that was more personal than that, something more meaningful than that. And so we've taken that same spirit of personal, meaningful product and brought it into the men's realm. But as I design on that side of things, we really think about what do men like, what do men use, what are men's needs, and I try to make things that I like, that I wear, that are functional, but also have a lot of meaning for them.
Okay, and I understand for the Lisa Leonard, you focus on a blog, and you connect with your life, with your family story. But Stephen David Leonard is a new brand. What is your advice for entrepreneurs who want to get more traffic to their website, which could be a new brand selling into the jewelry space or into Apple space?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like you say, with Lisa Leonard Designs, we've always taken this approach of telling a story and working through social media. And so as we launched Stephen David Leonard, we really do the same thing. It's just that now, instead of Lisa's voice, it's my voice. And it's been a very important part of our brand that, for Lisa and I, we've always seen ourselves more as storytellers of hope. Our big thing is putting something positive into the world. There's so many hard things, so many negative things in the world, that we want to put something positive and good into the world. And so we use social media, we use blogs and different things to do that. And then we also use our product. And for Stephen David Leonard, there's jewelry and men's accessories, bags, different things. And so I would say if somebody wanted to start something up and wanted to get traffic, I think you have to kind of figure out what's your story. What story do you want to tell? Because I think people connect with story, and there's a lot of stuff in the world, but not every company takes the time to tell a story. And I would even go so far as to say, I think you have to make sure your story's real. I can think of companies out there that they've kind of manufactured a story. You can read it on their website, and they kind of, they use these kind of big, meaningful sounding words, but it's very easy to see through it. I don't think the customer is fooled when you have kind of a corporate story, corporate manufactured story. I think you've got to do something real and genuine. And I think people just connect with that. I think we live in a time where people want something more than just stuff. And so, I think that's an important way to grow your brand. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that because, it is quite brave to be vulnerable and talk about your life story, not only about your ups, but also about your downs. Because the problem with social media is you can only show the best things in your life, but that's not how it happens in a person's life. So
yeah, I totally agree with you that's true. And our brand is very much based around us personally and our family, and that's one way to do it. I think there's other ways to do it, but I think you're right. You got to show the ups and the downs. I think people want to see something real.
Got it. And you talked about bags and jewelry. How do you manufacture these products, or how do you source these products? Are these products made in China, or are all these products made in US?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we actually today make, I think it's something like 97% of everything that we make is made here in the US, actually made where we're based here in California. We do have a partner in Israel who also makes makes a few of our products, and we have a supplier in India that helps us make some of the bags, some of the leather. Although we also do a lot of the Stephen David Leonard leather products here in California as well. So, and in terms of sourcing and things, I mean, we always look for the best possible suppliers. We want suppliers who are ethical. We want suppliers who provide great product. Our quality is very important to us, and very important that our customers get something that's going to last. And so we look for those type of partners to supply to us, and then we manufacture here.
Okay, and are you guys bootstrapped, or you've raised some funding from outside?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I'm really proud to say that we bootstrapped it all the way. That we've grown it that way without ever receiving outside funding or anything like that. And again, I didn't set out. I didn't know what I was doing in doing that. It was kind of a happy accident once again. But it's nice, to not have to deal with outside shareholders or outside investors, and some of those issues that you can have if you're raising capital from outside, from an outside source.
Okay, and what's the way ahead for Stephen? Are you going to focus more on both the brands, or are you going to focus on growing Stephen more going forward?
Yeah, I think we're going to continue. Leonard Designs has seen a lot of rapid growth, and so I think we're at a stage there that we'd like to continue to grow it, but at a little bit more manageable pace. And then we also want to, like you say, we want to focus on growing the Stephen David Leonard brand. It's already seen some rapid growth, a year and a half in, and so we'd like to continue that, and kind of continue to grow that. And we also have some other ideas that that we'd like to put out there. At some point, we do some things with Petline and some different things. So yeah, we have some more brands up our sleeve, and some things that we're looking forward to as well.
Okay, and we were connected with. I was connected with you by Ashley, and she mentioned that you like playing guitar and riding a bike in France. So do you especially go to France to ride bikes? Is that the way for you to unwind yourself?
Yeah, so cycling is physical activity is a big thing for me. Just in general, I try to work out every day,
Very nice.
At least 4 or 5 days a week, and mostly just to deal with stress and be healthy and things. And so one of the things that I do, I love cycling. And last summer I had the chance to go to France and ride in the Pyrenees and the Alps and ride some of the really famous mountain passes that they ride in the Tour de France. I went with some friends here, and it was just an amazing experience. Yeah, it was a long time in training, and I think we climbed something like 40,000 feet in 7 days or something like that. Rode a few hundred miles, and also got to eat some great food and just see France from a very different perspective, on a bike and pedaling along. So cycling's a big outlet for me. And then, like you say, I love music. And so I love, a few years ago, I've always wanted to play guitar. And a couple of years ago, I just decided, I've always not done this. And because I have, kind of other quote unquote, more important things to do. And I realized, this is an important thing to me. And so even though I'm in my 40s and feel like, I'm too old to do this, I decided, I'm going to start taking guitar lessons and get out there and learn and do that. And so I've been doing that for a couple of years and really loving it.
Very interesting. So let's quickly do the top three, where I ask the top three questions and you can answer back in a line or two. So what's your favorite business book?
Let's see, a favorite business book. I have so many business books I like. I don't know if it's like my top favorite, but I think Patrick Lencioni, The Advantage, is really good. It gets into a lot of different areas of business, and it's been very helpful for us in our company. So I'll say that.
Okay. And if you could go back in time when you started your business, what is the one thing you would have focused on?
What I focused on? I think I would focus where we did actually on telling that story and kind of making connection with people. Again, we didn't do it because it was so intentional at the time. We were just, we were just kind of following our noses and just kind of doing something. But knowing what I know now, I think I would go back and do the same thing again.
Got it. And what's your favorite online tool, for example, Gmail, Slack?
Let's see, favorite online tool. Yeah, probably Slack. We use that in our organization to communicate, and it's been very helpful for us. Okay.
And what's the best way people can reach out to you and know more about your brands?
Yeah, you can check us out at StephenDavidLeonard.com. That's STEPHEN, StephenDavidLeonard.com. And you can reach my blog there and get to my social media there, and also LisaLeonard.com. And again, there's Lisa's blog and social media connected to those sites, and that's a great way to learn more about us.
Awesome, Stephen. Thank you very much for coming onto the show. I really appreciate speaking to you.
Thank you, Rohit. It's very nice to meet you, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to the Life Self-Mastery podcast, where we teach you how to start and grow your online business. For more information, visit Rohit's blog at www.lifeselfmastery.com.